Hello and welcome to this joint presentation between Pico Automotive and ADS Auto Inform. I'd like to introduce Steve Smith from Pico and myself, Frank Massey from ADS. The subject today is NVH, Noise Vibration Harshness, an incredibly fascinating subject, and I'm sure, Steve, you'll agree, an incredibly useful tool given the development of the mechanical systems on vehicles today.
Absolutely, Frank. I think the more you dig and delve into NVH, you're on a journey, that's for certain. The beauty of NVH with PicoScope is the non-intrusive fashion in which we can diagnose numerous components, as you'll see over the next 7 or so videos. Yeah, it's a challenging subject. The capture of vibration and noise is relatively straightforward. Nothing's easy. I think we've said that so many times before, but the analysis techniques that we can do with PicoScope, that certainly brings it to life. That really makes us, or helps us diagnose these problems.
Yes, I think without further ado, let's begin with section 1 as to introduce NVH.
Okay, Frank. NVH, Noise Vibration and Harshness. Acronym is NVH, of course. Noise is defined as an unexpected or unpleasant sound in the wrong place at the wrong time. It sounds obvious, doesn't it, really? But we start the vehicle in the morning, the engine, we accept will make some form of noise, some form of vibration, but should we develop a knocking noise from that engine at a specific frequency, that becomes a real issue, and that becomes a true customer complaint, a complaint of noise.
I think what we have to do is focus on the fact that the motor vehicle essentially is a series of mechanical components that are constantly in conflict with each other. Things that go round and things that go up and down never are going to be harmonious. We have to understand the difference between what is normal and correct and what is a fault.
Yeah, and certainly NVH will allow us to do that, because you've just hit on something there. What is normal, what is correct, what is characteristic? It's very easy to convince yourself that there is a problem when in fact this is a characteristic of the vehicle. Absolutely. So to be able to conclusively measure that is incredibly powerful.
And compare it with a known platform.
A known good vehicle.
Yes.
Vibration then is defined as an objectionable, repetitive motion of an object, and this is either back and forth, so fore and aft, up and down, or left and right, lateral. The 3 axes of vibration, you'll hear that term a lot over the next few videos, 3 axes of vibration. Think of a tyre with a excessive lateral run out. That would affect the vehicle in a lateral direction. And we can measure that vibration in that axis only, as we can in the other axis.
So my understanding of, my simplistic understanding between, say, noise and vibration is noise can be a singular event, multiple of them, but singular events, whereas vibration is repetitive. It has frequency, it has amplitude.
Most certainly.
Which can change when you drive the vehicle, and it will change, but it is nonetheless, it's repetitive.
Numerous factors, certainly speed. As we come to do road testing, road surface, vehicle settings, I mean, you've mentioned this a number of times about when we're looking for vibration, we must make sure that we're driving that vehicle exactly as the customer would drive the vehicle. Mode, suspension settings.
Absolutely. And I think also, from the point of view of the workshop, you must choose a piece of road that is your test bed and stick to that piece of road. Otherwise, you've not got a level playing field.
It's about removing all the variables.
And
I think if need be, if we have to drive on the road that the customer experiences the problem, then we'll have to. That's how it is.
Yes, it could be a particular piece of road surface which is an issue. And we have to take that into account.
That road surface doesn't have to be potholed or rough. It may be the texture of that road surface that's generating a tyre noise, which, for all counts and purposes, is not a problem with the vehicle.
Correct.
So that's what we can qualify here. And then finally, harshness is defined as a sudden, aggressive suspension feel, lack of give to a single input. So that would be a pothole. That would be suspension bottoming out. A real harshness between the road surface and the steering wheel, for example, that you're feeling that whole event being transmitted through into the cabin, steering wheel, floor pan, seat, however you're connected with the vehicle.
So you're suggesting there that harshness perhaps is a relationship between the environment the vehicle's operating in and how the vehicle responds to it.
How the vehicle instantaneously responds to an event, knocking events in suspension, these singular events, they're a real nuisance. Trying to diagnose them is challenging, subjective at best, unless we can measure.
Yes.
But again, we'll tackle harshness as we move through, certainly. Yeah.
I think it maybe make the point at this that technicians have always described noise, vibration, harshness based on opinion, never on facts.
On facts, yes.
What NVH does as a tool is present the facts.
Yeah, objective results.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll look at the different frequencies involved with noises and vibrations, and there is a grey area where we'll experience either noise or vibration differently. I mean, I may jump into the car and I can hear a booming noise. You jump into the car, you think, oh, well, I can feel something. We're talking about the same thing, in effect. Yeah.
And interesting, we have to accept that humans have different hearing capabilities.
Like there's not enough variables. Yeah. So yeah, the customer has one opinion,
yes,
but we'll be objectively measuring those.
Yes.
So that's the real benefit here with NVH. So in a series of videos, we'll aim to show real-life examples of the tool in action, looking at cabin noises. That might be rattles, creaks, squeaks, knocking noises. Suspension issues. This is a real. This is quite challenging for intermittent noises from suspension, but of course we know how to tackle these now. Revised techniques that we've sort of developed over the last couple of years. Engine noises, prop shaft imbalances. That's not necessarily prop shaft, that might be drive shaft. Anything that rotates on that vehicle. In fact, there's a saying, anything that shakes, vibrates or makes a noise, we can capture those with NVH.
Would you say it would be a good idea for the technician to have, I'm going to call it a process, a means of driving that is a laid down process which he can repetitively follow? How he accelerates, how he brakes, how he operates the steering, so that it's an objective platform from which these results are obtained.
I think you mentioned a test route, having a test plan, taking into consideration the customer complaint, that most certainly. Let the customer drive the vehicle in these scenarios. That's I think essential. Take that vehicle out, try and simulate as much as you can the customer complaint, the conditions. But a test plan, essential, especially if you're not going to see the customer. There's always that, isn't there, that the car is dropped off. Have a test plan, a driving technique. We'll talk about road test techniques as we move through. But certainly selecting neutral will allow the engine to idle down, but we can maintain road speed, so we can separate engine from road speed vibrations. Okay, so why do we need NVH? So we've talked already. Customer complaints on the increase, and this is, I think, borne about by hybrid and EVs and just vehicle interiors in general. The cars are aiming for the optimum driving experience, aren't they? Minimal noise, minimal intrusion. So any inkling that there's a noise in the cabin or there's vibration passing through, there's upset. There's a concern from the customer. Cost-effective demand for a solution. I think traditionally NVH has always been an expensive tool. I mean, there are some incredible NVH tools out there on the market, costing thousands and thousands of pounds, and then additional costs for software as well.
Beyond the reach of your average repair.
I would, certainly, you'll see them in research, development and manufacturing. I mean, these are the kind of tools we're talking about. But think about, you've got a PicoScope already, that NVH is an accessory to that tool, to PicoScope, for measuring noise and vibration. Ability to record playback vibration and sound data. This is a real win. I'm passionate about this, and this is capturing these customer complaints, capturing the event. You've got objective results, you've got proof. You need proof. Why am I changing this component? Is the noise that I've captured, is it a characteristic? Is it normal?
What has drawn my attention to that specific area or component? Yes, absolutely.
This is the speed that the customer is driving at. This is the engine speed, and this is a sound that I can hear, and this is the frequency. We'll capture this all with NVH. You've touched on this already, Frank, back-to-back testing, comparison testing. You're in a world of pain if you start rectifying or attempting to rectify characteristics. You see it time and time again. We need to explain to the customer that the car is behaving as designed. The frequencies, the noise that we can hear, what he can feel is completely normal.
should we, I think at this point, also make an issue here? Has the vehicle been modified?
Yes, yeah.
Has the customer put different wheels, different tyre sizes,
Yes, yeah.
changed the power outputs of the engine, changed the suspension geometry? We might be trying to fix a fault that is inherently now being built into the vehicle.
Certainly. I think we stand here and we say back-to-back testing like it's easy to do, like we can just go outside and find an identical vehicle and drive that at the same speed and everything's fine. But the second you just change tyres on a vehicle for a different brand,
Everything's changed.
the variables have just gone through
Yes.
the roof, haven't they?
Yes.
So there has to be a tolerance between vehicles. But yeah, this is all about, I call it get out of jail testing, really, back-to-back testing.
We can still prove the area of concern, the component of concern,
Yes.
but then we have to build in the unknown parameters.
Yes, yeah. The classic one that springs to mind was customers coming out of conventional injection, gasoline injection engine vehicle into direct injection gasoline engine. Just the noise generated from those injectors.
Yes.
The customer was absolutely convinced that he had a tappet noise.
Yes.
He was convinced.
Yeah.
But to be able to record the noise level from one vehicle and another, we were able to put that to bed very quickly. Accurate identification of vibration and sound source. You'll see as we move on that the software will pinpoint specific known vibrations. So we'll know the tyre frequency, we'll know the frequency of the prop shaft or the engine. And if the amplitude of those is excessive, we've clearly identified what it is that's vibrating. But probably more importantly, we identified what is not vibrating. How important is that?
Diagnostics is a series of test failures before you find the actual responsible component. If you look at it in a negative way,
Yes.
you're ruling out what it isn't and
Yes.
drilling down
Ruling
to...
out what it isn't to arrive at what it is.
Correct.
Yeah. I think we've all been there with these vehicles road testing, and we all have an opinion of what we think it is. But to be able to quickly say it's not this or this component, so now we're left with two others, is a godsend. It really is.
Yeah. The classic there is customers had the wheels balanced several times. It can't be wheels.
Can't be wheels.
But actually, it can be.
It can exactly be, yeah. Before and after fix for customers. Something you mentioned to me, Frank, about carrying out modifications to customer vehicles. They want superior handling, so they want performance shock absorbers. They want the suspension lowering. Are they aware what's going to happen to their vehicle in terms of ride quality? You know, we need to perhaps measure before, measure after for modifications, or of course before fix and after fix to qualify repair.
Absolutely.
Yeah, qualify. And again, objective test results.
You've got proof.
You've got proof. We all have an opinion of what we think it is, but can you argue with the science, with the measurements?
The confidence from the technician in progressing into the repair of that vehicle is based on evidence.
And evidence.
And that really is...
That's the win.
That's the winner.
Yeah, totally. So here we have an animation then of NVH and how we interpret these terms. So we have the bobblehead on the dashboard. Everything is fine. Music is playing. No noise, no vibration, no harshness. And then of course, vibration develops, noise develops. Just how uncomfortable that can feel inside the car.
I guess here we're talking about the perception, different frequencies, different levels of noise.
Exactly, yeah.
Some of which can be unavoidable, such as road surface.
There we have harshness, yeah, to begin those sudden impacts and how they affect the vehicle, how they affect the occupants of that vehicle.
And obviously wind noise is a big factor.
I think we all have different tolerance levels as well. It's amazing, you jump into customers' cars and you hear this noise, vibration, feel this vibration, and the customer has no perception at all. That's quite normal to them. You know, what qualifies a customer complaint? Okay, so what would you need to measure NVH? Well, we have here the standard Essentials kit. That includes a 4-channel scope. It also includes 2 microphones, 2 accelerometers. You're also going to need the software, Pico Diagnostics, so NVH is contained within the free software. And of course, how do you display, how do you capture, or how do you review your results? Well, with the screen here, this is the bar graph screen that you'll see from the Pico Diagnostics software.
And I believe the software has a license which is given freely on purchase.
That's right. Well, as we move through, yeah, if it's whenever you purchase an NVH kit, you are required to obtain the serial number of the scope and the serial number of the interface, and that will release a license key that will then unlock your scope for NVH. So it's not the PC that you unlock, it's the scope. So that scope can then travel anywhere, shared with anyone to measure NVH. Good point, Frank, actually, is that you don't need a scope or an NVH kit to view NVH files. The software is free. You can nip onto the forum, read some case studies, open up the NVH files, zoom, view, change the views, highlight different areas. The software will allow you to do numerous operations without purchasing.
So you can take arbitrary measurements from a pre-saved file.
Yeah, you have, yeah. So, for example, you go to the forum for a case study of a prop shaft. As long as you've posted the NVH file and you have the PicoScope software installed on your PC, yeah, it will open. You'll be able to see exactly that road test. Any recordings that were done at the same time as well, they'll all be there. Okay, so the scope kits, 3 kits: starter, standard, and advanced. So here's a starter kit. 4-channel scope. This is the Essentials. If you already have a PicoScope, you don't need to buy an Essentials kit, because anything with the word Essentials in there determines that there is a 4-channel scope in the kit. If you buy a starter NVH kit, that's everything in the kit except the scope. So if you're already Pico owner,
So if you've got this hardware,
yes,
you can buy just the Essentials with NVH.
just the accessories.
The accessories.
Yeah. The word Essentials determines that there's a scope in the kit. Yeah.
And I'm right in saying it can be a 2-channel scope
Yes.
or a 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
In our kits, everything essential is 4-channel. If you have a 2-channel PicoScope, you're not penalised in any way. You'll see as we come to do measurements that if you wanted to do a 3-axis measurement, that you'd have to choose 2 of those.
Any 2 of the 3.
Any 2 of the 3 axes, yeah.
Okay.
We're going to focus all our road testing, all our descriptions over the next few videos on the standard NVH kit, yeah, because within there we get 2 microphones, 2 accelerometers. And the benefits of which, Frank, pretty obvious in that you can minimise the amount of road testing that you do.
You're halving your dynamic test.
Exactly, yeah,
time,
yeah. For example, a customer complaint of vibration with the starter kit, you'd have 1 accelerometer or a microphone connected. You do 1 road test and obtain a vibration, and it may be that you want to do a 2nd road test. You're going to have to reposition that accelerometer, try and reproduce your variables or minimize your variables by doing exactly the same with the road test. Just increases your diagnostic time. To be able to have an accelerometer mounted on the floor, on the seat frame, and then another accelerometer maybe in the engine bay. In 1 road test, we've captured 2 zones of the vehicle.
And perhaps just bear in mind that when you drive a vehicle, the tyres warm up, that could change the whole thing again. So the amount of variables in the subject are endless.
Yes, yeah, and we need to be aware of them.
Yes.
Yeah. In no way must we be put off by these. Being aware, I think, empowers.
Yes.
Most certainly. Finally, the advanced NVH kit, Essentials kit. So again, Essentials would mean there's a 4-channel scope in there. You could still buy this without the scope. 4 channels, 4 accelerometers, 4 microphones, any combination. Could be great for that initial road test of an accelerometer placed on all 4 corners of the vehicle.
Each corner, absolutely.
Yeah. 1 road test, 1 capture. You know.
The ultimate starting point.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So 4 microphones as well, or any combination. It may be that we've got a noise or a vibration, we're not sure which. Let's have an accelerometer on the driver's seat, accelerometer front and rear, and maybe a microphone in the cabin.
Yes.
You touched on something here about narrating your road.
Absolutely. If you're driving the vehicle and an event was to take place or an observation, make the observation vocal. Record within the tape an observation you've made. If you wanted to reproduce it or discuss it later or replay it in the workshop, you've got the notation actually on the tape.
Yeah. I like the point of narrating the road test because it may be that you've just hit an incline and you've kept your foot on the gas pedal perfectly still, so then the load characteristics have changed on the vehicle.
And it may be something the actual owner of the car actually says that helps you in the process as well.
Yes, yeah. As you open up that rapport with the customer.
Yes.
Yeah. And the trust is building, absolutely. So here it is, the NVH Essentials kit. 2 of everything, 2 microphones, 2 interfaces, 2 accelerometers. If you're going to connect anything to this PicoScope, it has to go via an interface. So let's take a look at that. So, well here, microphone. This microphone screws into an extension cable. Best position ideally for the microphone is wherever the customer is complaining. If it happens to be rear passengers that can hear the noise, let's put the microphone by the rear passenger. Otherwise, generally, that would sort of hang up round by the rear view mirror, and that would be capturing all our cabin noise. If it's going to connect to PicoScope, it must go through an interface. So whatever accessory it may be, if it's an accelerometer or a microphone, it must go through an interface.
The accelerometer, this is a 3-dimensional accelerometer, which has a very powerful magnetic base, so it will attach to anything. This is ferrous base, and once again goes through the interface before it goes to scope. Plenty of lead length. I've had no issues there with reaching different areas within the vehicle.
So you haven't found that whilst there's an extension lead in the kit, you haven't had to use one?
So far, no.
Okay, no. That's good. And how would that connect to PicoScope? Well, there's our interface. It's X, Y, and Z of the accelerometer goes to A, B, and C of PicoScope. Accelerometer would connect into here. And there you are. That pretty much is your connection for a vibration measurement. I really don't think it gets any less intrusive. You know, certainly from a noise vibration point of view, if that's what the customer complaint is, attach it to the seat. It's generally the driver who's complaining.
Yeah, we're dealing with the complainant as the driver, therefore...
Yeah, we assume that. Yes, yeah.
Let's assume that we're collecting the data from the point where the complaint is being made.
Exactly, I would agree, totally, yes. Yeah. So here we'll have a road test of just how we would carry out our initial vibration measurement using the standard NVH Essentials kit. There's our components within the kit. 3-axis measurement, so X, Y, Z, A, B, C. You see there we have a mongoose lead. We've chosen mongoose lead to connect into the diagnostic connector. Our accelerometer mounted onto the seat frame. And it's essential that for our first road test, if it's a 3-axis measurement and we want to identify the offending axis, that we mount it vertically with the screw thread. The screw thread is in the front of the accelerometer. Screw thread facing forward. So that would be our orientation for our first measurement.
There is a map of the 3 dimensions actually on the device as well.
Yes.
A directional map, which is best orientated correctly in the vehicle.
Absolutely. Yes. The mongoose, this is our chosen J2534 interface. This allows us to connect into the vehicle diagnostic connector and request 3 pieces of information: engine speed, road speed, and chassis number, VIN number. Yeah. Depending on the vehicle, we don't always get VIN number. There's often not so much an issue, but sometimes through the protocol we can't obtain it. The software will explain that, or it will identify that it cannot detect VIN number, so it would be a manual entry.
I'm right also in saying, in fairness, if you've got a pass-through device, that you can use that pass-through device to obtain the same information to work with NVH.
Yeah. So if you have another diagnostic tool utilising J2534 protocol pass-through, as long as its software is installed on your PC, the drivers are installed, then NVH will search for that device and use that to obtain engine speed and road speed. Yeah. The mongoose is not included in any of the kits. It is an accessory over and above an Essentials kit.
And if you're a specialist company like we are on VAG range of vehicles, that particular company does a higher level of interface profile with...
yeah, so this would be mongoose for VAG?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So as a specialist company, you might consider that as being an option you might want to undertake.
Yeah. I know from the brand that I know is Toyota Lexus, exactly the same. Mongoose optimised for Toyota Lexus. Pass-through device will work with your NVH kit.
Yes. Yeah. So we've had the opportunity of an overview of the hardware with the NVH kit, and I think you'll see that the application of the hardware in itself is very quickly connected to the vehicle. The next section is I think, crucially important, and this is the theory of NVH. We must have an understanding of what it is we're actually capturing, and to understand the theory is important to be able to relate it to certain functions within the vehicle. So the next section is the theory of NVH.